Welcome back. Now, there are big plans in store to revive the City of Johannesburg. The city is promising visible service delivery and job creation, among other things. It's set to implement its long-term development strategy with a focus on informal trading. Let's unpack this now with Joburg's MMC for Economic Development, Nkululeko Mbundu. Thank you very much, MMC, for your time here on Newslink. Now, firstly, the informal trading policy, which I think came into effect or was supposed to come into effect in 2019. I believe you've reviewed it. What's the update on it now?
Morning, Masika, and good morning to the viewers, and thank you for having me on the show. So when we came on the administration in December, we found the information trade policy in draft. It has actually been in draft for quite a number of years, and we sought to accelerate it. It is still in draft currently, but as priority number one in our office, recognizing the need to sort out the sector, we took it through the Section 79 committee on the 10th of March, which is the Oversight Committee on Economic Development, to look at the contents of the policy. And they gave us feedback and some inputs that are needing to be added. And we are going back to Section 79 on the 8th of April. And hopefully once it's passed, it'll go straight to Council on the 26th of April. And hopefully we can get it passed and we can implement.
And how does it benefit informal traders?
Look, I think it puts structure. Right now, we've got about 8,100 odd stores across the city. And as it stands, it's a free-for-all. People are selling, on pavements that are meant for walking and not meant for trading. And there's no regulation, there's no facilities, there's no support infrastructure in the spaces where they are at. So what it firstly seeks to do is to demarcate the trading spaces with the right facilities and the right support, because you've got to have, pick it up being available, Joburg water and all the other facilities. So it ensures that they get protected, number one, because they get the permits, the trading permits, and their store is then protected for a period of 3 years. And it provides them support across the board in terms of functionality of trade.
When last did the city grant trading permits to an informal informal trader?
The last were issued during 2020, during the lockdown, but they were issued as an emergency measure. And they were issued, arbitrarily. And that process stopped, I think, around about sometime in the middle of 2021. And when we came on board, we immediately seized that process so that we can regulate it. There is a big problem that we are facing, particularly of undocumented foreign nationals who get into collusion with some of our traders who buy and then they sell. They'll come and apply for the permits and then they'll sell them to foreigners at a higher price. And, that in itself is just a violation of the Immigration Act. So these are some of the things that we need to look into. That's why we had to put a halt to it to make sure that it is properly regulated.
Do we know, MMC, how big the problem is? Do we know, for instance, how many informal settlers we're talking about and how many actually are out there and don't have the permits to trade?
Well, the numbers we have is somewhere in the region of 14,000 informal traders across the city. That also talks to the spaza shops. So when you're looking at informal trade in the inner city on its own, there's somewhere in the region of 8,000, 8,500 or thereabout. What we don't know today is how many of those are illegally trading, because it's kind of hard to get those stats, and how many actually should be trading. We know that there's at least 5,000 permits that are out there currently that are meant for trade, but that also takes into account the markets.
All right. And just while I have you, MMC, there's something brewing in the city of Johannesburg at the moment with Operation Tudula versus a march that is against xenophobia or anything that might incite xenophobia. So we might see, a few clashes somewhere during the course of the day. And this all boils down to the economy in the city of Johannesburg and the fact that we have so many people who are unemployed. So as MMC of Economic Development, what's your reaction to this? What is your plan to ensuring that, everybody has space in the city of Joburg?
Look, touching on the issue of Operation Tudula and the such, I think we understand that people are frustrated. We understand that the national government has failed in their constitutional responsibility to keep our borders safe. and hence the influx of illegal immigrants who then fight for their spaces, who fight to compete with the locals on the low end, which is why we're looking at reserve sectors for South Africans on the low end. Nobody should come into the country to come and trade in our streets. So what we're saying, though, is whatever has to be done is going to be done within the confines of the law. We don't promote any act that would lead to damage to property, injury, or even loss of life. We believe that law enforcement has got to take charge. And hence, we want to first formalize the sector and make sure that we create a regulated space. We do understand that, the City of Johannesburg contributes about 14% to the GDP of the country. So we are the single largest contributor. The city's GDP is a driver of the economy. And the informal trade in itself is a very big part of it. So the sooner we can create that space and secure that space and regulate that space, we can then create meaningful employment. We've got the biggest challenge right now with 1 in 2 people unemployed and 3 out of 4 young people unemployed. So our priority as economic development is to create an enabling environment for job creation for the youth in particular, and just broader for the citizens of Johannesburg. But we can only do that in a regulated space and making sure that the sovereignty of the city is protected. It's a tough task that we've got.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Johannesburg's MMC for Economic Development, Nkululeko Mbundu.